19:05 hours Moscow time. Sheremetyevo Airport teems with thousands of Russian travelers, heading home for Christmas, unaware that the war has reached them. Ukraine is about to transform their holiday into the largest tactical fireball on record, a massive fireball. The weapon is not a long-range missile, it is already positioned inside Moscow's perimeter 7 miles from the runway. Concealed in a snow-covered clearing, a Gazelle delivery van awaits. The roof slides open, revealing cheerful Santa Claus imagery. Inside, 10 drones activate in the freezing atmosphere. Their mission, a single target. A ghost in plain sight, a $120 million Ilyushin aircraft. An IL-76 transport disguised as civilian freight, being loaded with Kalibr cruise missiles for deployment. To reach it, they must penetrate a digital fortress, a kill zone. Woven from overlapping fire, 3 Panzer batteries coordinate under the S-400 surveillance system, and the electronic warfare blanket of the Krasuka 4 system. How do operatives use a Santa Claus van to eliminate a target? Inside the most heavily defended airspace on the planet, 19:05 hours. Local time 7 miles from Sheremetyevo Airport. The Santa Claus van's roof panel slides open, the low hum of a 12-volt servo motor signals activation. This sound marks the commencement of the operation. 10 drones ascend into the freezing air in a perfectly synchronized launch sequence. The attack force immediately diverges. 4 Baba Yaga platforms climb vertically to precisely 46 meters altitude in the darkened sky. Below them, the 6 OSA FPV quadcopters execute the opposite, dropping to just 80 feet above ground level, accelerating to 90 miles per hour, locking onto the precise departure corridor of an Aeroflot aircraft, a passenger jet that cleared the runway moments earlier. Intelligence scraped from a real-time Flight Radar 24 breach transforms a commercial flight path into a digital invisibility cloak, tactically equivalent to a getaway car. Exiting an alley and merging seamlessly into rush-hour traffic, the drones fly radar-blind to enemy systems relying on internal navigation and onboard visual sensors, deliberately broadcasting 0 GPS signatures, denying the Krasuka 4 system any signal to spoof. How did this weaponized payload achieve insertion it exploited? The greatest vulnerability of any security apparatus, the chaos of a national holiday period. For 36 hours as holiday traffic overwhelmed, security checkpoints, the Santa Claus van became just another piece of harmless background noise. Overstretched FSB personnel scanning for large-scale threats reviewed a manifest for children's gifts and cleared it. They never inspected the false floor. Ukrainian operatives had not just smuggled a weapon, they had weaponized the holiday itself. But even the most brilliant infiltration cannot circumvent the laws of physics. 9 kilometers out, the display on a Panzer S-1 air defense battery began flashing. 19:04 hours local. The screen of the 96L6E acquisition. Radar illuminated with 6 anomalous returns. Inside the command vehicle, a 27-year-old lieutenant sipped his Christmas coffee, annoyed at the interruption. He assessed the data: altitude 24 meters, speed 85 miles per second. The profile indicated hobbyist, not hostile. A civilian drone straying too close during holiday operations. He decided to eliminate the nuisance. He pressed engage. 1 second later, a 57E6 missile erupted from its launcher, on a pillar of white-hot exhaust accelerating to Mach 3. Its 55-pound fragmentation warhead required exactly 4.1 seconds to traverse the 3-mile engagement zone. The first OSA drone ceased to exist, vaporized instantly. Inside a 60-foot fireball of flame and tungsten fragments, confirmation crackled across the tactical net. Confirmed kill, just a civilian quadcopter, comrades. They had no awareness they had just destroyed the cheapest, most expendable asset in the entire swarm. 19:04 and 38 seconds. Local time. On the Panzer display, the system logic was flawless. 1 target neutralized, 5 remaining. It automatically designated OSA drone number 2, the fire control. Computer initiated its target lock sequence, preparing to launch a second $200,000 missile, screaming into the night sky. But the destruction of the first drone was not a failure. It was the trigger, the microsecond. The Panzer radar confirmed the first kill. The entire fire swarm executed a maneuver so radical it bordered on digital suicide. They initiated Ghost Protocol. All 5 remaining OSA FPVs simultaneously severed their digital links to their Baba Yaga command platforms. It was the digital equivalent of an operative, receiving final orders and then destroying their communication device. They were now operating completely dark. No command signals incoming, no telemetry outgoing. They were flying on pure pre-program instinct and AI-powered visual navigation systems, using the hacked Aeroflot flight data as their navigation rails to the Panzer's sensitive receivers, which hunt for faint electronic signatures between a drone and its operator. The 5 targets had simply vanished from the radio frequency spectrum entirely. But invisibility is insufficient. You must also create a convincing deception, as the FPVs went dark. Baba Yaga number 2 the designated digital controller, deployed its primary electronic weapon. It was not a jammer, it was a spoofer system. It began broadcasting a powerful falsified signal perfectly, replicating the radar signature of all 5 missing FPV drones, but projecting them on a trajectory slowly climbing and diverting. Away from the airport, it was the ultimate tactical deception. For the Panzer's computer, it was an irresistible logic puzzle. The 5 faint, difficult to track low-altitude targets had disappeared. They were, instantly replaced by 5 stronger and clearer, less threatening radar returns, moving in a predictable trajectory. The machine did what it was programmed to do. It followed the decoy. The operator watched as his system automatically released its lock on the empty airspace, where the actual threat had been, and began tracking the phantom swarm. But the tactical countermeasure was a layered simultaneous assault. As the first Panzer was being deceived, Baba Yaga No. 3 unleashed a targeted 20-watt digital static burst, a focused beam of high-power noise aimed precisely at the X-band, frequency used by the radar of the second Panzer battery on the west side of the airfield. The strategy was brilliant and ruthless. One enemy system was being actively deceived. The second was being completely blinded. For a moment, the swarm was secure. They had won the tactical match. But their own tactics, the very act of the mother, ships broadcasting powerful signals to deceive and blind the enemy, had just painted a massive target signature on their position for an unseen threat far more lethal than any Panzer system. For a few seconds, the swarm was protected in its digital invisibility bubble. But the very act of generating that bubble, the high-power signals being transmitted by the Baba Yaga command platforms to spoof and jam. The Panzer systems had created an unforeseen and deadlier problem. 5 miles away in Dubna, the unblinking eye of an S-400 air defense system observed everything. It is critical to understand the difference between these two systems. A Panzer is a close-in defender designed to scan the immediate area for small, fast-moving threats at close range, but an S-400 is an apex predator. Its massive 92N6E radar is not hunting tiny drones. It is purpose, built to engage the most valuable targets on the battlefield. The command hosts the AWACS aircraft and high-power electronic jammers. The Baba Yagas, in their attempt to deceive, had just made themselves the perfect S-400 target signature. The S-400's advanced targeting computer instantly dismissed the phantom signals, deceiving the Panzer as irrelevant electronic noise. Instead, it focused on 4 powerful, coherent, and very real signatures. Hovering at 150 feet altitude, it did not detect drones. It detected the enemy's command center, the gravestone. Radar locked onto the 4 command platforms with precision. Now the mission stakes escalated from difficult to near impossible. The S-400 was not preparing to fire a precision strike weapon. It was preparing to launch its 40N6E interceptor missile, a 236-mile range weapon carrying a 400-pound warhead, designed to destroy strategic bombers at stratospheric altitude. Deploying it against the Baba Yagas was not overkill, it was execution. This was the ultimate checkmate scenario. If those 40N6E missiles left their launch tubes, the 4 command platforms would be instantly destroyed. The AI command link would be terminated. The 6 remaining FPV drones, now flying without guidance, would become nothing more than tumbling debris of plastic and explosives, crashing harmlessly into the forest below. The mission would be a complete failure. And for the operatives on the ground, their extraction window would close permanently. They would be compromised, trapped deep inside the most hostile territory on Earth. This was the decisive moment of the operation, and the countdown had just expired. 19:05 hours local. The S-400 system did not hesitate. The launch authorization for 2 40N6E missiles flashed across the operator's console in the cold. Clinical calculations of air defense algorithms, the 4 Baba Yagas, were the highest value targets, and their destruction was now merely a formality. But Ukrainian strategy was built on one fundamental principle: you cannot defeat a superior system with direct force. You must defeat it with its own programming logic. Baba Yaga No. 4 was never just a command platform, it was the designated contingency asset. It's pre-programmed. Mission activated the micro-EO. Second, the S-400's gravestone radar achieved lock on its position. An S-400 radar is ruthlessly intelligent, designed to filter out simple chaff and low-tech decoy systems. You cannot simply distract it. You must present it with a deception so perfect, so overwhelmingly logical that it has no choice but to accept it. You have to offer it a superior target. 2 plasma flare cartridges mounted on the drones. Undercarriage ignited with a blinding white-hot flash. Simultaneously, 4 modified MJU-7AB thermal decoys were deployed, creating an incandescent signature trail. Here is the physics of that deception. In 0.9 seconds, the drone's apparent surface temperature spiked to over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The plasma bloom generated a radar signature 10 times larger than the actual swarm, to the S-400's targeting computer. The 4 small, difficult targets it had been tracking were instantly eclipsed by a single massive, intensely hot signature. It was like a predator tracking 4 small prey suddenly being presented with a larger target. It is biologically and logically compelled to pursue the larger signature. The Gravestone radar's logic was compromised. Its lock instantly shifted from the real swarm to the phantom. Target now blooming at 230 feet distance, 240 N6E missiles, valued at $4 million, roared from their launch tubes. Their rocket motors screamed as they climbed into Moscow's sky, chasing a phantom of heat and plasma energy. 8 seconds later, they detonated, harmlessly as bright as a premature Christmas display. The Ukrainian operatives had just purchased their survival, but the cost was their operational cover. The final window of opportunity was now open. It measured just 18 seconds, only 18 seconds, 19:06 hours local time. OSA drone number 6 had navigated through the entire digital gauntlet. It broke away from the now exposed swarm its electric motor, screaming as it pitched into a steep 65-degree terminal dive. Its target, the left wing of the Ilyushin IL-76, precisely where the main fuel tank connects to the engine pylon. It was a target area no larger than a dinner plate, calculated not for the largest explosion, but for the most catastrophic chain reaction. The drone impacted. The 7-pound shaped charge did not detonate on contact. A delay fuse, lasting less than half a second, allowed the warhead to penetrate through the thin aluminum skin and bury itself deep inside the wing's main fuel tank. It was the difference between a surface fire and a bomb. Inside the heart, when it detonated, it did not just create a blast. It focused the entire explosive force into a single white-hot jet of molten copper, moving at nearly 25,000 feet per second. This jet of superheated plasma instantly vaporized 400 gallons of JP-8 jet fuel, creating an expanding fireball reaching 200 degrees Fahrenheit. The fuel tank, designed to hold liquid, not it contained, detonation ruptured under the immense pressure wave, transforming the aircraft's alloy frame into hypersonic shrapnel. But the real devastation had only begun. That initial blast, waves slammed into the main cargo bay, a space packed with compressed oxygen canisters and the warheads of 24 Kalibr cruise missiles. The shock was too violent. They detonated sympathetically. A new far more violent event equivalent to 1.5 tons of TNT. A column of fire 220 feet high erupted from the heart of the airfield, a brilliant, terrifying pillar of orange and black flame, so intense that passengers inside the terminal over a mile away could observe it clearly without assistance. The $120 million IL-76 and its $24 million cargo of Kalibr missiles ceased to exist. They were now a crater of burning, twisted metal. The violence was contagious. A fully loaded fuel truck parked adjacent to the IL-76 was engulfed by the initial blast, exploding and sending the river of burning jet fuel across the tarmac, which quickly reached a small adjacent ammunition storage depot. Sheremetyevo Airport was paralyzed. All flights were immediately grounded. Within minutes, the decision was made to shut down the airport for 5 hours, canceling 300 flights and stranding over 42,000 passengers on the night of their Christmas travel. But the operatives on the ground were already extracted. 21 minutes before the first drone impacted the Santa Claus van, and the sedan had quietly departed from their concealed position. They were now just 2 more vehicles, dissolving invisibly into the holiday traffic heading for the border. They were completely secure. The fire at Sheremetyevo was just the beginning. The real damage was strategic, and it spread like a virus through the Russian war machine. Instantly, Russia lost its primary air logistics bridge for delivering Kalibr missiles to the Black Sea fleet for the entire 10-day holiday period. The illusion of civilian air corridors as a secure military transport route was shattered. All disguised military flights from Moscow's 4 main airports. We're grounded indefinitely, triggering a logistical crisis. The political fallout was even more severe. Humiliated Putin was forced to make a decision: protect his capital's image or protect his forces in the Donbass. He chose his capital. An entire Panzer battery was withdrawn from the front lines and redeployed to create a new defensive ring around Moscow, weakening the air defense umbrella for his forces in the east. And in the 72 hours that followed, Ukraine exploited the opening. They launched 5 new offensives across Kherson and Zaporizhia, penetrating Russian lines that were suddenly receiving significantly less artillery support. The tactical price for Moscow's sense of security was paid in blood on the front lines. On that Christmas night, Ukraine demonstrated a new truth of modern warfare. You do not need an army to make Moscow tremble. You just need 10 drones in a van, painted with Santa Claus imagery and the intelligence to transform your enemies' greatest celebration into their own catastrophic defeat. If you commanded SBU operations, what Christmas payload would you deploy? In the next drone, share your tactical concepts in the comments.